and just to make sure that they're positive and that I try to not be and not say the negative things as much. Mm-hmm. So I was very long-winded for that reply, but I think I found the answer.
No, you did. It was actually a wonderful answer. So so don't worry about that. I would like to take one step back though, because you mentioned before that you're rolling out another product. What is your product launch marketing and time frame? Is it something where you already have a list of people you've developed over time that you then just reach out to? Are there new readers that you try to find in different areas? How does that work?
So right now, I have my biggest audience in regards to where I actually sell my products is my newsletter. I have over 60,000 people on my newsletter, on my mailing list. Oh, wow. And I've been growing that over the years. So that's pretty much how I make my money. I sell to that list. And I know that there are formulas and methods, and there's a book. I've started reading it. I haven't really gotten very much into it, but I know that there are ways that people do launches, and they have them all organized, and they start like this, and then they have this series of emails, and then they boom, here's the product. I feel like I'm very smart and I'm very strategic, but I haven't quite gone to that level yet in terms of, building it up. But right now, so the product that I'm working on is on a software called On1 Photo Raw. And it's a start to finish kind of tutorial showing how to process photos using this new software. Right now I'm doing a free course. So people have to sign up for my newsletter in order to get this free course. And so I have 10 lessons that they get, one every week. And so it's building, they're all good lessons. They're all free. I've got some really good feedback on them. And then, towards the end of these 10 lessons, I am, crossing fingers, hope that I'm going to be finished with this product that I'm going to be selling. So a lot of the people who are signed up for it, I think I have, off the top of my head, just for that group, I have over 6,000 people signed up for the free course, so I'm hoping that a good chunk of those people are interested in the book that I'm going to be releasing, if they want to learn more. I always really do my best to price my things very affordable, so they're very affordable, in the $50 range. Some are a little bit more, some are a little bit less. I know some people do online courses and they're hundreds of dollars, and I don't usually go that route. I want to keep my things to where people can still buy them. They're not going to be like this huge investment. And, so it's more of a quantity over, quantity in terms of people who buy, because I would rather have more customers that spend a little less money than a select, smaller group of people who buy my product. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, so that's for this specific product, that's probably the farthest that I've ever gone in terms of trying to really build an audience for one specific thing, kind of building up to, a product that's going to be launched. But I've kind of at that point now, as I'm actually recording this, that I can, I've started to talk about it, and I always make sure that I get the good ways into the book or the tutorial that I'm working on before I really announce anything about it and say, hey, this product's coming soon. Because I do that for myself more than I do that for other people, because I need to know myself that it's going to go through. And everything that I've started that's been a really big launch like this I've always followed through, and I've almost always followed through when I wanted to have it released. There's a handful of other side projects that I just kind of don't worry about, and eventually they'll get out there. But some of these big ones, like this one that I'm working on now, I'm really making sure that I get this out. And I think I'm actually going to be early for what my anticipated date was. So that's awesome, because that makes me happy, because then I can start on another product after that. Yeah. Then I have, or I can take a week off. So I do that. I usually do that after I finish something really big. I'm like, I'm taking 2 weeks and just doing nothing and going to the waterfalls and hanging out and going hiking or whatever. But, yeah, so I have a lot of little things that I do. I give away free presets, and then I have follow-up automations, but it's really difficult because I don't have anyone else but me doing all of these things. So I have to kind of make sure that I can manage anything I do, I always have a plan for, okay, if I send this email out, what kind of questions am I going to get from this? So I prepare ahead of time for these things that may happen. So, if I had like a team of people, man, it'd be ridiculous, but it's just me. So it's, I feel like I can do a lot. I can balance and juggle a lot of things at once. But, in regards to like those really, those products, I think there's actually a book called The Launch. Someone told me about it, and it's like a very formulaic way of doing things. And apparently it works really well. And I'm sure if anybody read this book, it seems like it's one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, I've actually experienced somebody doing that to me. But I haven't quite gone there yet. Maybe I will, or maybe I'll just keep doing it my own way. I don't know.
Oh, sure. Oh, I'm someone who has taken a lot of online courses, and yeah, I've definitely seen firsthand the formulaic like email that goes after the email, and after you see it once or twice, you're like, okay, I know what they're trying to do. So, well, let me just wait for what like the cost of the big item is going to be, because they're teasing me with these small free videos. But yeah, I'm curious, why haven't you either hired an assistant or someone else to help you? Is that just because you like doing the whole process and having your hands involved, or is it something else?
I think it's just I haven't really actively looked for anyone. Right now things work. But I would love to have somebody. I would love to have somebody who wasn't. It would have to, like a business manager. Somebody who can kind of take over some of the things that I do. Mm-hmm. But it's challenging because it would have to be someone that I knew really well, and that obviously that you have to trust these people because you give them so much access to all of your accounts and all of the things that you do behind the scenes. I've thought of hiring people maybe to do like the customer service, and like you actually, when you and I were emailing, I just went through my my Zendesk, and I haven't. Sometimes I move over to my Gmail or just my normal email, and I just never did that. So you'll get a normal email from me later, I promise. But but I use Zendesk just for myself because it's easy. It's just anybody who has emailed customer service for anybody, they are receiving from some sort of system like that. And I've thought of hiring somebody to do some of that, answering questions for me, but it's so tough because I'd have to find somebody who could be in it for the long haul, because having to train somebody to read my mind and know all of the things that I do, and it would be so challenging, because then if somebody was like, oh, I've only been doing this for 6 months, but I just can't do it anymore. I'm like, oh, I spent all this time like grooming you, and now I'd have to start over. So I don't know. It might happen one day. I think my problem is that I'm too good at all of the things that I do already. Like I can manage my email. I can design my own newsletters. I can design my own books. The things, like I said, the things that I hire out, for my books, I have an editor. I don't think anybody should edit their own books. I have an indexer, but that's just a bonus thing I started doing. But I have an accountant, and I basically say to my accountant, please do everything and then just send me the bill. Cause like that's, find the things like that's something that I don't enjoy doing. And so I'm just like, please do it all for me and I'll pay you for it. So that's really the only thing in my business that I really have anyone doing for me that I don't really, other than signing papers and giving a little bit of information, have much involvement with. But yeah, I would love to have a business manager. Yeah, I know some people who are photographers who do similar work to what I do that have that, and I'm kind of envious of that in a way. But it's also, it just kind of depends on the person. Like I said, I feel like I'm too good at too many things. So I haven't had the need to say, here, I need somebody to do this for me because I suck at it. So.
Sure. Yeah, I know that sometimes it can be difficult to kind of relinquish control when it's sometimes it's just easier just to do it yourself.
Yeah, I know. It's horrible because I don't want to see myself. I would worry that if I hired somebody that I'd be like this micromanager, and I would not, I'd have to really try not to, because nobody likes anything micromanaged. But my business is I'm not just working in a company. This is my business. It's me. It's not just Nicole's Incorporated. It's Nicole Young. This is, my business embodies my personal brand. And so it has to it can't just be a team of people who are making decisions, for let's say like Pepsi, right? You've got people who are making design decisions and social media decisions and stuff. It's like so different when it's a company versus when it's a person. My social media, it all comes from me. I wouldn't want somebody else posting on my behalf, just because that'd be weird to me. So.
Yeah. What advice would you give someone who was just starting off right now, who wanted to follow in your footsteps?
And you do the education stuff, yes. Or just photography in general, or?
Well, I would say, so I guess I'll let you I mean, it could be the stock photography stuff, could be the education stuff, but with the way that art is changing these days, it's not necessarily the easiest to just focus on one thing, and you have to evolve.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing is to, like you said, things are evolving so much, and photography has become so incredible. The photos that we can create and the photos that some of the top people create are far above what people were making 30 years ago. Like a good photograph in like the, I don't know, let's say the 70s was like an amateur photo now. And so it can be really easy to go on Instagram or whatever your photo sharing website of choice is and start feeling really insecure because, I even have to put myself in check sometimes and say, okay, I am not a world traveling, person who has all these sponsors, person who's able to travel to every country every month of the year and get these, because when you travel, you see some amazing things. And for me, that's when I feel like I get my best photographs is when I'm traveling. And I see these people travel, I see these amazing photos, and I'm like, and it can be so easy to kind of crumble inside and just be like, oh, why am I not like them? Why my photos suck? So it's so easy to kind of to feel insecure about yourself. And look, it doesn't matter what you do. It could be photography, illustration, or, like I do ebooks. It could be, I could look at somebody else or maybe somebody looks at me and says, oh, I wish I could do what Nicole does, or podcasting or whatever. You have to just be yourself. And I know this is like the cheesiest, line, but, be yourself, be authentic. Cause I didn't go into this looking at where I am now and saying, that's my goal. That's what I want to do. I just went with the flow. I joined the Navy just for fun because I wanted to do something different. I started to learn photography, and I didn't really have an end in sight when I got out of the military. I was like, I just want to be a photographer, and I just kind of went with whatever, kind of like how water just kind of moves around rocks and just kind of goes wherever it takes it. That's kind of how my career has been so far. And I'm not saying you should be just like lazy about it or just let it take you. You still have to make decisions and push yourself and move in directions. But it's kind of a stepping stage. It's not just like one giant leap over the wall. It's like you have to kind of create those stair steps to get up it. Like I said, I am really excited to know, like in 5 years, am I still going to be doing the same thing? If I am, that'll be interesting because that'd be great actually, especially if it's lucrative. Or am I going to be doing something completely different? Am I going to start doing a lot more traveling, or I have no idea. So yeah, I don't really have any end, like right now I feel like I'm kind of in this holding pattern of, I figured out what I'm good at and I'm doing it, and I'm growing my newsletter. That's always kind of my biggest, I put a lot of energy into that because if I can get people to come to my newsletter, that's kind of my home base. Then I can connect with them directly into their inboxes. And so I'm just kind of living right now, and I'm creating ebooks and books and videos, and yeah. So
sure. I think that's kind of great, and I guess freeing to know that 5 years from now something could change, and it's kind of exciting to kind of see where things are going. What would you say is the best advice you've ever received?
Probably from my dad when I was really young, and not really young, probably high school age. Now he said this with love. this is coming from a place of fatherly love. He told me that, like, basically, it doesn't matter how good